Hey, how's it going? Um, so, I guess I wanted to make a video today about what kind of has been on my mind recently, and I want to actually highlight something that I don't know if many know um, about, like, well, a lot of people think of me in different ways, um, and you know, most people don't really understand what motivates me to do weird shit that people think I'm crazy about sometimes. And I've had a lot of friends, recently, the last couple of years. I don't think it's like that often that people necessarily ask, like, why are you going to Pine Ridge, for example. I, you know, I'm showing here, like, I want to kind of like bring it down to really simple stuff now. Because um, I'll say this, that what I realized a couple of years ago is that, like, the place of the South for me is like the mountains, Appalachian Trail, and the sort of energy of this like picture or of this bird. And unlike a lot of the things that um, I've been around a lot of cities most of my life, like in Atlanta and stuff, and Boston and San Francisco and all these places, New York. I mean, they're all great places, but um, what I realized is that there's something that's really important about this country that's kind of lost and hidden away. That is quiet. It's in it's in Appalachia. It's in the quiet parts of Appalachia. It's like in West Virginia. It's in places like that. That I think in a way I miss it. I grew up in the city, but the times I felt truly at home was up in the mountains in Georgia, and like North Carolina, Blue Ridge Mountains, Virginia, sometimes like New Hampshire. Um, I would always go to the mountains, and even the the kind of mountains I like is not like the big ones. Like, I've been into California, and I've seen the Rockies too, the Sierra and the Sierra Nevada, the Cascades, and the Rocky Mountains. I love them all, but there's ain't nothing like the the forest of the Appalachia and the quiet you have up there. And they're older, and the people up there are older. There's just a different kind of thing like that, and um, kind of a little bit scared, to be honest with you, where we're headed in our country. I think we are all there in a way. They used to have these like fireside chats in World War II, where FDR would get on the radio and you'd all gather around the table and the president would tell you a story, or you know there was that old time American energy that was like you could trust the radio. Like you could kind of trust it. And I guess in a way I want to recreate that, but um I guess it wouldn't be a big thing. I think it wouldn't be a thing that would be famous. It wouldn't be like you're counting on ABC or NBC or CBS for the radio. It would be really subtle. And I think we're headed for a period of American history that I I look at almost with dread. I look at the whole thing with dread. I don't make jokes about there's all these videos I made in the last couple of weeks and all the things I've written about and everything I've done in the last 8 years unless I thought that like this stuff was real. And I'm kind of done in that phase where I'm running around like Chicken Little, like the sky is falling, like look, can't you see it? It's been like that for the last 10 fucking years for me. Like all this stuff with Islamophobia and mass surveillance and NSA and Iraq War and Afghanistan, now Turkey, and no one listened. Very few. And even my own parents, like my whatever. And I'm like, all right, fine. And I respect the people that keep going. I respect you for who you are and like the friends you are and everything you've been, but I also have to affirm myself and say that, when the shit hits the fan and the grid goes down, if it does, I hope it doesn't, there are very few of you that I would actually save. There are some people distributed around this country, one in Oregon and one in North Carolina, one I'm living with right now, that I would. There's some very long reasons why that's true. I'm not saying that it's like trying to be selective or anything else, but what I'm saying is that we are living in a time where there is a very strong chance the grid will go down. And it's not even a question of the grid going down. I think it's just the sheer madness and insanity of what we're living in the cities. Like, there's such a radical division of socioeconomics and like the distribution of capital and money that is creating this insanity where you have people that are going left and right to different events, like whether it's, it's just a lot of separatist identity politics. And I think it's incredibly dangerous. And I think people just don't know what to do. And I have seen enough of this country, the top and the bottom. The reason I went to Pine Ridge, one of the reasons I went to Pine Ridge was to restore my sense of identity domestically. I strongly considered a couple years ago going to the Middle East and staying. I strongly considered going to Turkey and actually going to Syria. Not because I wanted to join ISIS, not because I wanted to fucking fight in war, but because I thought that actually that space might be an interesting place to create a new world. In other words, like there's a Kurdish town called Rahavna, which is basically the sort of epicenter globally of anarchist, and I don't mean like fucking black bloc anarchist, I mean true anarchist technology and development of things that are truly off-grid, not in this way of like survivalist shit, but actually, not in this way of like American survivalist shit, which they talk about. The rhetoric is a lot of like, oh, stockpile a bunch of ammo and shit. Like the American survivalist movement mostly is about guns. It's like about violence. It's about radical bullshit. And it's like the most least survivalist possible. In fact, it's anti-survivalism. What it is basically accelerating the collapse of this country. People get scared and they run to buy stupid shit like guns. So they live in fear and they're trapped, right? And I think to a large degree, that's a manufactured thing that creates a culture of death. It creates an energy where no one can breathe. Like very few people are comfortable truly about like being themselves because they fucking are scared of each other. And like, I think in a way, I give up on that. I just don't have any interest in being around people that have small minds. I think I don't want to be arrogant or sound brash or any of that shit, but it's like, I got to be more selective, I think, in a way. I have a lot of hope for people long term. I think that in the next 7 years, that's what the length of the tribulation is in the Bible. I mean, maybe it's 7 years, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 100 years. I don't know. But let's just say 7 years for sake of argument. So in 7 years' time, what can happen? Well, I've been in my own tribulation for the last 10 years. It's radically reshaped who I am, what I trust, who I love. And I want to, I want to read a poem. I'm such a dramatist, but I want to read a poem about my ex-wife. And I want to explain it. And I want to restore, like, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I don't want this to be looked at as like, this guy's a crazy guy, whatever. I really just want to be understood about love and why the blow of like losing Betsy, my ex-wife, was such a soul-shattering event for me. Not because I like chose to do it, but because I just couldn't be around her energy. I think I made a mistake when I was young, thinking I was American. I think I made a mistake thinking I was white, or European white, or whatever that looks like. And essentially, what I'll do is I'll show you this, that this is the start of my third book. And this is basically my wedding photo of, like, this is Betsy, my ex-wife, and this is me. And we're, feeding each other cake or whatever. It's super cute, whatever. But I want to say that, this poem, it's a hard one. It's probably one of the harder ones I've written in my life. And I want to explain it. I'd like to sort of interpret it for you. Why am I in the dark? Well, let's hear the poem and you'll probably understand. I miss the old, nice you. I do not. Tonight I'd like to report that we've killed Osama bin Laden. Frost, what trace of no do you not understand? No, you can't have my home or my time. No, you can't have my gifts or my song. This desert is for my kin. Out white snow, black frost covers the land again, and my pagan soul rejoices. Hark, the herald angels sing, for mine is the kingdom and the glory forever and ever. Not yours, my love, my dear American woman. My allegiances to those that topple skyscrapers and big oil dogs, a marriage in hell, one like mine. Prayer. And this is up in White Earth, up in northern Minnesota. So the second poem I didn't write. This is from a book called Trace, but it's relevant. When you left, it was as if glacier retreated, as if the ice tonnage was rasped and scraped and scoured for ages, diminished in a moon's single phase to a trickle of meltwater. I live in its aftermath. Tills, eskers, erratics, cirques, exposed bedrock, moss darkens the far side of a granite boulder, pine. Then the valley fills with hardwood frost, which burns and grows again, which burns and grows again, which burns and grows again. Spider, Fond du Lac, Minden Camp. Primitive water. Cherry blossoms on the inkstone gutters, leaf-choked overflow, the path along the ridgeback washed out, seedlings, saplings of poplar girded with wrist-thick vines. If not for the gnarled knuckle habit of words, I might at last have a purchase on silence, perhaps suicide. The deer freeze, skitter, then fly, snare of antlers, the burden and effort of constructing meaning. The quick bickering of jays, the river seen from above as the character for dragon. 5 crows roost and shake down in blossoms. Myth, not history, predates one's childhood. There, one can disinter the gibbous moon, the essential arcanium, the primitive water's source. These were shot in Minneapolis. Oh, look, we can purchase death. We can purchase Jesus. We can purchase Mother Mary in business hours of 10 to 7, weekdays, whatever. It's just how we are programmed in this fucking country. So that's what leaves me here. I know you can kill. Now can you live? The zeitgeist of every age is like a sharp east wind which blows through everything. You can find traces of it in all that's done, thought, and written, in music and painting, in the flourishing of this or that art. It leaves its mark on everything and everyone, Arthur Schopenhauer. At least 20 killed and more than 100 wounded. Gunman fires from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay, CNN. You whites make all the ammunition, Chief Red Cloud. I'm not thinking about anything at all, not anything at all. Sage blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Wind takes up the leaf, flight of fancy. To the lake inside the mouth of a fish is one bacteria. His name is Mortimer, and I like him. He's not quite unlike you or I, just trying to survive in his little niche. Lead flowing through the water, seeping from bullets shot at deer long ago. Seeing from residues near Vegas, near the Strip at the Mandalay Bay. That's not here. My head is above my heart, and I am just writing on an Apple computer. Mortimer sees me as he tastes the flowers I throw in the water for him and his bacterial friends. It's like honeydew melon, hard on the outside and soft on the inside. The quantum connection we all have to each other, not just to other humans, but to all life. The wind is a double-edged sword. Did we need to fuse our consciousness together as one? Can we stand it at all? Yes, I say. The answer is in the wind of our times. These are strange, mystical times, times when a single breath can take you to hell or ascend you into space. A breath can evolve a new stretch of struggle surging forward. Always remember to breathe. Thank you for being late. Never be on time. Your life definitely does not depend on it. Mortimer expands with the lead flow, being able to live in the wake of its lovely, heavy scent. The door opened just now. What does he have to say? I know you can kill. Now can you live? I'm not thinking about anything at all. No eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no touch, no sight, no sense, no problem, just you, alone on a rock in space. It's a lonely inner world for you, so you might think, just wait, however, alone, and pray. Submit yourself to God, Allah, the creator of the worlds. See what awaits you when you put your heart over your head. Mortimer does not have one. He is a simple one-celled bacteria, simply living in communion with others. He lives in cooperative communes, in fish, any fish, bedheading his way to paradise. It's not quite a strange sight inside me, however. I lost all sense today, or the other day before that. I lose them when I learn only don't know is not that insane of a mantra. I don't know what this next breath will bring, but Maria said to put my heart over my head, to sit in yoga postures with my heart over my head, blood flowing to my brain, thin line between life and death. The stoves are here. He must have been scavenging around, but I saw those last year. This typing is easier with fire, easier with the warmth of a friend, easier with raw heat and red flames. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I don't live with him or her. I am just here. You are here. All I want is a big damn deer, a big old truck in your ear. You, the door opened just now. What does he have to say? I know you can kill. Now can you live? And so this is at Sacred Stone. And for anyone who's been there, I mean, I think you would know what this means. Because it's kind of like the ability to actually create, somehow like upright this sort of madness, turn it right side up. But what does it look like in the true sense? I mean, it looks like commune. It looks like community. It looks like creating energy that people understand each other. And to create a tribe, you have to create an energy where people mutually respect and understand each other's ways of living. And right now, I've had a hard time doing that in the city. And I think I'm just beginning to create something that's actually possible for to consider how that might be done in this phase of this, because we're all physically separated right now. The people that have the talent, the artists, the ones that can truly create this stuff like this, they're the ones that are going to create this next wave. They're the ones that are going to evolve it past Standing Rock. They're the ones that are going to make it really beautiful, because they were there at the beginning and they got shut down by all the black blockers and all the rioters and all the people that were fucking wounded. And I want none of it this time. And that's why I have to go inward. That's why I have to lock that shit down. That's why I called the feds on fucking camps up there, because there's things that happened last couple of weeks I don't even want to talk about. But I'll say this, that this is a friend of mine who shared this yoga thing with me, and Paul. I met him last year at Sacred Stone, and we had a good conversation. This woman is from Cannonball, from the res, like Standing Rock. She's actually involved in like science of like water. She had a long story. It's really powerful, and I miss this place. I mean, it's a magical place to be there. This is fucking just laying out books and fucking profit everywhere. John Nash. People that know me understand that, but why am I in the dark? It's a good question. Why are you in the dark? This is the skull from the yard of Leonard Peltier's son, Paul Shields. This is the piece of art that I'm working on, basically the robot that's here. This is going to be like the thing that I focus on right now, and work on computers that can actually withstand some nasty shit like an EMP. I actually think that these computers here, like these things, these Raspberry Pi computers, if I open it up, I mean, they're $35. You could create a fully functional Linux box that's off-grid, like you could solar power it. And I think that actually, as crazy as it sounds, I actually think these are going to be one of those things that we all kind of are going to need to know a little bit about how to actually do hardware, like really do hardware, because I have a feeling that a lot of the things we rely on are going to go down. I think that we're going to be kind of forced back into a state where we actually really need to go back to fucking old school, like candles and wood stoves. Some of this just to communicate, but mostly to just fucking survive. I think we're going to basically need to like really go back to the old ways. And the one thing about this computer here, like this MacBook, I mean, it's amazing, but it's also really fucking expensive, and it's not a sustainable thing. I mean, this thing is $35. I'm going to get to this later, but I think I wanted to sort of mention that and then keep going here, because I think that there was this thing that showed up in my news feed today that was kind of interesting about the balance of things. But I want to say this, that, we can imagine, right, like a way of using technology that could be potentially quite liberatory. I mean, even if only just to be creative. Like, what does a water protector look like? Well, maybe like that. This is from the stupid, like, riot punk thing of Makwa Camp, whatever. This is Water Pro Rector. I like the Water Pro Rector. She's a teacher, and she has a love choker. So I'll explain that later. But key thing is that she has that heart right there, but it's black. So, Water Pro Rector. So, kind of a fantasy thing. But this is the real thing. This is up in northern Minnesota, up near Grand Marais. I went up there early September to start testing the water. This is the iron water that just naturally comes off the mountains up there. It's taconite. The red is from iron. And what I'm doing is to use these kind of hardwares like this to create like sensors for the water, the pollution, like the dark shit, fucking serious dark shit, like mercury, cadmium, fucking arsenic, cancer-causing metals that just torture your body. And, it's necessary because this shit's in the water. And if you're going to survive off-grid, well, you want to drink the water, you have to test it now. Like, the future is actually, you're going to have to actually test your water, like, permanently. Like, that's the new phase of things. So, basically, the important thing here is that, like, this kind of schematic here is like what I'm trying to put together right now. And I want to invite people into this process. If you would like to be part of an effort to basically put, for lack of a better term, the water online, basically, the important thing here is that what we're looking at is essentially we're dealing with this issue of carcinogenic arsenic. And So this is what I want to mention, like the actual issue. That this showed up recently, and I want to sort of explain why I've been freaking the fuck out in some ways. Like, 2 million Americans are drinking high levels of arsenic in their well water. This is something that basically you're dealing with this lack of federal safe drinking water. And what you're looking at is like low IQ scores, you're dealing with cancer, you're dealing with children with cancer, and there's no couch auction, guys. I'm just dropping some knowledge about the water, so you can either fuck off or listen. So, yeah, it makes lead look like a vitamin. And the vital thing is here that basically, well, it's a good question. I mean, okay, so yeah, okay, you're not trolls. That's good. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that. I think what's happening, honestly, is that I'll put it here, like geologically. I think what it is that basically, I mean, this is fucking USGS fucking propaganda, maybe, but look at that shit. And I mean, these are the high levels of arsenic here. And it's not even about my looking at papers. It's actually about this story. Like, I'll kind of, I guess, highlight this now because it's came up. I mean, this is just a woman that showed up at camp, right? Where I was up there, and like, I had just done a direct action with things, and I was like watching this thing, and basically, this. The 9th of September, 2009.
I don't know. He had an operation. They sent my son-in-law out to the car to put a car seat in the car.
Yeah.
And my sister went to the bathroom, and it came back the baby was gone. My daughter has a brain tumor, but I'm in a brain tumor.
Fracking wells. I forget the site, but around where there was arsenic leached, like near fracking wells. I forget the site, but basically, this color of the urine, it's strange. This doesn't look like healthy urine. And what about the brain tumors? You said that there was.
My daughter has a brain tumor, but I'm in a brain tumor.
Okay.
And they took her something from their room.
What happened there?
I don't know. She had an operation. They sent my son-in-law out to the car to put a car seat in the car.
Yeah.
And my sister went to the bathroom, and it came back the baby was gone. And there's not been any paid for 2 years.
All right. So, I'm going to say this, that this here is sanity for me. Aside from anything else, it's just a way to sort of stay busy. And, I have a way of calibrating with paint. We can do sensors, whatever. The rest of it's just fucking details. But aside from anything else, I'd say that this is the sort of energy that I want to propagate right now, and I have very much a desire for it right now, because this is just where I'm at. Shovel, it's simple, don't got much. Work makes free. Arbeit macht frei. If you're German, if you know what that is. Clean kills ego. Clean, hard, soft, raspberry gravel. She's off cooking, laying a road to the new fire, pit circle laughter. There's no I in shovel or in me. That's why I can say yes. I can say yes, and I can affirm me with every heave, and I am somebody with every drive, forward stronger to this path, small path for her and you, for her and you. Come on out, eat a s'more, take a walk on dry raspberry gravel laid with shovel, not yours or mine, ours. So, I guess what I would say is, if you are watching and you want to participate in something good, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be locking down shit like fucking Fort Knox. And I've had the feds in the background, the FBI, for over a year, since November of last year. I've had the Department of Homeland Security and also the Secret Service. All three marking people like KKK and trolls like that. So anyone that messes with me, anyone that messes with anyone I love, is already marked, if you don't understand that already. Just pay attention to that. In the Middle East, we know how to struggle correctly. And it starts with peace. It starts with reason, and it starts with art. And the moment that I realize there are artists out there that have the consciousness that I have is the moment I feel free. It's the moment I feel love. And it's the moment I feel liberation. And the rest of these people that I know, and the rest of the people I've ever met in this country, God bless you, but there will be no help from me. And just leave it at that. Don't ask for anything. Don't count on anything. Don't expect anything, because you won't get it. 16 years after 9/11, 2001, and what I see now, I'm scared to death for my family in Turkey. And it's not even a question we're headed to World War III. It's so imminent, it's not even funny. But consider we've been at war for over 30 years in the Middle East. And there's been several million people killed on my father's side. And when you look at North Korea and their EMP, think about that. When it goes off, not if, when, 90% of this country will die. And it's probably just karma. And I won't help anyone unless I trust you. I'll just watch it burn with joy. Not because I like it, or I'm sick or twisted, but because I watched 30 years of genocide in my homeland. And it's sad to see it come home, because these countries, people here didn't care. Gave no rat's ass, no protests until now. 30 years too late, my friends. It's too late. So goodbye. Peace be upon you. It's not like I'm going to drop out of this fucking planet, but I'm going dark. And the only ones that I fucking respect right now know it. And the rest of you, goodbye.